Yo, what's up, guys? Professor R here. So this video it's gonna be titled "How to Bench Press When You Have Long Arms." So let's just get right to it. So, tenet number one. Well, not tenet number one. The shit isn't a Bible or Ten Commandments. It's just something I thought about. Cause bench pressing with long arms is just a fucking pain in the goddamn ass. Like embracing the initial suck and the challenges that come along with that. If I can like have a blast from the past or think about times where I've almost fucked myself up because of my spider monkey arms, yo, I need more index fingers to count the episodes that I had on the goddamn bench press. So advice number one, or uno, change your grip position. So you can either assume a wider grip. Now, here are the positives. The positive with a wider grip is you can obviously lift more weight, and the bar will definitely touch your chest. So that's a positive, of course. There are positives and negatives, and I like to quote, "In life, there are no solutions, only trade-offs." Because considering the fact that reality is not optimal, it's not ideal. You can't just fabricate a certain reality, or you can't just make rules upon a certain fraudulent picture or a fraudulent model of reality and expect to actually get the results you want. You have to have an accurate model of reality, and this reality is your anthropology, how you're built. And we can't change how we're built, we can only work around these things. So, assuming a wider grip, you can lift more weight and the bar will definitely touch your chest. Now, this obviously places a great emphasis on the chesticles. Yes, I'm going to call this chesticles, this cringy name that, yeah, it's not cringe, it's just a bodybuilder terminology, chesticles, right? So great emphasis on the chest, right? Negatives. Now here's the fun part. Negatives. Your anterior delts are placed in a more precarious position relative to a bench press grip that is much more closer. So the further along the line you get with your bench press grip, the more of a risky emphasis you're placing on your goddamn rotator cuff and your anterior delts. Which brings me to the next point, or the next portion of tenet number one. I keep calling it tenets, not tenets, not a Bible. Okay, so apply a more closer grip. Positives. There are obviously trade-offs, right? Positives. Lower risk of anterior delt destruction and rotator cuff tears relative to a group that is much more wider. So relative to a group that is much more wider, you're going to have a lesser chance of fucking your shit up, of going to the hospital, paying that ambulance bill if you live in America like I do, and possibly embarrassing yourself in front of your gym crush. Not that it's ever happened to me before. It's never happened to you before. Trust me. Negatives. Now the blatant negative. The closer your grip is, the less of an emphasis the bench press has on targeting your chest, and the more your triceps will get involved. This obviously isn't a bad thing. However, if you're somebody who's very tricep dominant, which is a term that I've heard several times, although I've yet to meet someone who's at face-to-face tricep dominant, I've heard of stories online of people who feel more triceps as opposed to chest when bench pressing. That's them, right? Now, a second negative, right? You may be forced to bench press with less weight. Yep, this is obviously a second negative. Compared to the amount of weight you will be able to press if you adopted a wider grip. There's also a third negative I'd like to add on. The third negative, of course, is you probably won't be able to touch your chest. Yeah, it's because you have long spider monkey arms. You probably won't be able to touch it the closer you actually get, which kind of sucks. Now, nuances. Not all grips are absolute. Obviously, these grip ranges have varying degrees, and there are wide ranges of how a barbell can be gripped in accordance with your anthropology if you have spider monkey arms like I do. Just because you adopt a wider grip doesn't necessarily mean it's a wide as fuck, wide as fucking spread eagle like some 304 high school cheerleader in a gangbang after a junior varsity game. Likewise, just because you adopt a closer grip doesn't mean that your fucking palms and your thumbs are touching the goddamn barbell and shit. You just like tilting to the left and the right and this shit. No, they're shades of gray. There are no absolutes. Feel free to play around with your grip on the barbell and find what's the most safe way to bench press You know, find the safest way to bench press, my fellow spider monkeys. Like, don't assume just because you're taking a more wider stance, you have to go all the way, balls to walls, wide as fucking like some fucking thought. You know, like who's like spread eagle to goddamn, you know, bet or some shit, and yeah. So like the shades are great. You know, like there's like some people use the rings of the barbell. If the barbells in your gym have rings, ours do. So they use the rings, whatever. My rule of thumb back in the day, back in the powerhouse days, was I would apply my index finger, on the rings, but then that grip was far too wide, so then I decided to apply my middle finger on the rings, and that alleviated the tension from my rotator cuff, and I was able to bench press much more safely. Now, of course, this would change when I would go on a flat bench. So yeah, I forgot to add that detail. So incline bench pressing is going to be your arch nemesis if you have long spider monkey arms. Like the amount of times you can get injured on that shit, I can't even, bro. Especially when I was on a caloric deficit back in 2018. Holy fuck, man! I had to suffer going from 200 pounds on a bench press for sets of 5 or 5x5. Right, I was 200 pounds. You know, I was bench press 200. I thought that was heavy. It's not really that heavy. It's you know, baby weight, right? But at the time, I was proud of my 200-pound bench press, and then I had to go on a caloric deficit and I had to cut. Now, upon that cut, my strength declined drastically on the incline pressing, and I ended up actually altering my grip because my rotator cuff felt the brunt of it, and I was getting injured a bit. It got so bad that that you know, you ever see the scene where you're kind of, your final set, you're pressing very crookedly. You're pressing stronger on one side than the other side. That was me. You know, my right side was taking over, and then the bar ended up, you know, kind of tilting a bit. Luckily, someone was spotting me. Well, not spotting me, but they saw me from across, and it was like, holy shit. And I did re-rack it within time. However, it was just so fucked up. Like seeing the bar, like seeing the strength decline and having your shit almost get fucked up because your grip is far too wide. And that really places a psychological strain on your well-being of training. You're not going to feel as powerful as you did previously, which is why this is so important. Which brings me to point number 2, which really helped me. Retract your scapula and tightly pack your lats and back muscles like you're trying to hold a pencil in between them. I used to watch Scooby, and he would have this, like he would use the same analogy that I'm using right now, or the same term that I'm using right now. Pretend like you have a pencil in your back, and try squeezing it. Try to retract your scapula. Try your best to retract it. Okay, now, my fellow orangutans, channel your inner powerlifter and work on that arch. This arch will allow your rotator cuff to avoid the problems that are associated with bench pressing with a flat back. That was my initial problem. I press with a flat back, especially on the incline press. You don't want to press the fucking flat back. That's dumb as shit. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, holy fucking shit. And this brings me to my final point. Develop a constant ritual. In my personal experience, I developed a ritual whenever I barbell bench press that involves me grabbing the outside portion of the bench that holds the barbell, and I will literally squeeze the fuck out of my lats and scapula in order to pack them tightly. Now, not only does this help with my rhythm, it gives me reassurance that if I unrack the weight, I can safely lower the weight onto my chest without severely fucking up my shoulders, right? I've gotten, you know, as I mentioned previously, I've gotten injured on a few occasions during the incline bench press. Every spider monkey lifter's worst nightmare. But ironically, despite getting hurt, I still love the movement. It's my favorite, you know, angle of inclination to train chest at because you know, like really getting your like upper chest to pop out. It's such a difficult task that I relish in. You know, it's like I relish in the challenge. I love the challenge. I love the challenge of actually getting a chest to pop out. It's almost like you're watching Dragon Ball Z characters, right? They all have, especially in the Buu saga, they all have the upper chest, and they're all just like, you know, like, and their delts are so capped. And Ryuhei Kurosayama would draw them back in the past. Ryuhei Toriyashiyama would draw them in the past. It was just peak Dragon Ball Z era, and I would look at Goku and Vegeta's chest, whatever, you know, pause, no homo. Who gives a fuck with this no homo shit, man? It's just like, there's no homo in fucking watching DBZ characters who rip this shit, you know, being aesthetic and whatnot, right? But they looked impressive, and that upper chest really gave them that that, you know, like that quintessential bodybuilder look that I love so much. So yeah, it's actually my favorite angle inclination training chest band due to its sheer difficulty combined with the fact that having a massive chest is inconceivable to the vast majority of people. But once you develop a nice upper chest, your side chest pose will be on the money. Like the show, you know, Macho Son with his side chest, whatever, how heavy the dumbbells you lift. I can't wait for season 2. I don't know if they will approve of season 2. That's beside the point. But yeah, I remember my rotator cuff, specifically my right rotator cuff, having a bunch of problems after incline pressing. And yeah, the cause of such an occurrence was certainly related to my lack of a ritual. I didn't have a ritual, and I would get injured constantly. I would get hurt constantly. And so yeah, I remember having like a slight crack when I rotate my you know, it's actually cracking right now, but you know, the crack was this crack was related to lactic acid buildup, likely because I did train shoulders harder the previous day, and yeah, so I do need to stretch a lot more. But my mobility has gotten a lot better since implementing a ritual, and I don't have to worry about this muscular imbalance that I used to have. My shoulders being very tilted forward, and I used to have I used to walk around like the Incredible Hulk or the Hunchback of Notre Dame and shit, because I was so anterior delt dominant, right? And it was also related to the lack of having a ritual, that can actually instill your confidence and the fact that you can unrack the weight safely without fucking yourself up. So yeah, the purpose of a ritual is to develop positive habits, a positive routine that will allow you to replicate certain movement patterns that accommodate your anthropology and can allow you to lift safely for a decade or two. Hell, to allow you to live safely until your goddamn 80s, until your body decomposes in the dirt and the worms and maggots feast upon you. And then you can finally rest. But yeah, that's the goal, to live forever, to live safely forever, to be the guy in their 50s mugging the shit out of everybody who have excuses with why they can't train. And that's the end of the video. How to bench press when you have long arms. Peace, guys.
Choose your fighter.